Welcome to Paladin Financial Talk. I'm your host, Jeff Quick, and I'm joined today by Paladin Financial's operations manager, Dori Petroff. How are you today, Dori?
Doing well. Thank you, Jeff. I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Now, do you prefer Dori or Dorinda?
Dori,
Dori,
definitely.
duly noted, duly noted. We're here today to talk about small businesses, tax benefits, and really all the things that go into setting up and establishing a small business that you may want to consider. First off, Dori, let's just talk about maybe choosing the right business type. That's kind of the first thing people typically do. How do they go about setting up a small business and determining what business entity may be best suited for them?
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. So we can see businesses structured as a sole proprietorship, an LLC, or a corporation. And of course, each one of those has its advantages and disadvantages. A sole proprietorship is oftentimes the most simple one to set up, while LLCs and corporations can be a little bit more complex, but they could provide some additional liability protection. It's essential to kind of think about the pros and the cons of each of those as you're deciding which one works best for you as you're setting up your business.
Sure, and that makes a lot of sense. Liability is obviously a big factor. What other types of things go into determining the type of business that somebody should establish?
Tax implications, ownership structure, the formation cost and maintenance, capital funding, regulatory compliance, tax deductions and incentives, and potentially thinking about your future exit strategy are all important things to consider.
Well, that last one's a great point, the exit strategies. A lot of people don't consider that when starting a business. They go into it and they maybe set up the most simple version and don't think about the long-term ramifications or how they plan on exiting that business. So that's a good one in helping determine what type of business somebody should set up. There's definitely a lot to consider there, and I'm sure you'd agree the best course of action is to consult a professional, probably legal as well as tax professional, when trying to determine what type of business is best for them.
Definitely.
Perfect. Well, let's talk a little bit about something I know you were heavily involved in at Paladin, which was setting up health benefits. I know it can be a huge cost. There's also a lot of regulations that are constantly changing and being evaluated. What should a business owner look for and consider when they're looking at adding health benefits?
Yeah, so health benefits are crucial not only for the business owner, but it also helps to take care of the well-being of your employees, and it helps with employee satisfaction, and it can help you retain employees. You have a lot of options when looking at health insurance. You can go out to the market and try and find a plan on your own health insurance plan that you provide to your employees. Or there's a lot of organizations out there that will work with you that they will let you basically tag into their health insurance benefits for them. And so they can provide either health insurance or life insurance or things like that for you. And so that takes out all of the work. You don't have to do any of the research. And the other part of it is that your employees get to be part of a larger group. So the health insurance premiums are generally lower than what you would find if you were trying to get a plan for just your business.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I know it's complicated, and give me a little idea of what health benefits, what the costs are for an employer. Like, let's just assume an employee has a $50,000 salary. What types of costs does a business owner incur for an employee like that in addition to just their salary? Just like a rough estimate.
So it's going to depend on the type of plans that you're looking at. In the state of Minnesota, employers are required to contribute 50% of the health insurance premium. So the total cost of the premium, an employer has to contribute 50% of that to an employee's health insurance plan. So it can be all over the board, but I would say probably standard would be anywhere from $50 a month is their part in the health insurance premium, all the way up to, I mean, you could see something $200, $300, $400.
Yeah, it's a big cost and something to consider. I know they're very helpful in attracting employees. I know in my time at Paladin, I've seen the benefits added and the employees and the quality employee that they've been able to attract has definitely improved. I know it's important when people are out there looking for new employment. Let's talk a little bit about business deductions and some of the tax implications. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and one of my favorite episodes, there's one with Kramer trying to encourage Jerry to return, I think it's a stereo, and help him return it. And Kramer says, well, Jerry, don't worry about it. All these big companies, they just write it off. They don't care. And Jerry turns to Kramer and says, Kramer, you don't even know what a write-off is. And Kramer laughs. He says, no, I don't, Jerry, but they do. So let's talk a little bit about write-offs or tax benefits. I mean, what is a business deduction? I know a little bit about some of the stuff from my tax background. I mean, any ordinary or necessary expense that's directly tied to the operation of a business is typically deductible. I know it includes things like rent, utilities, office supplies, salaries. If you're starting a new business, startup costs can be included in there. Potentially home office. I know that can be a tricky one. You deal with these all the time in supporting our business. Vehicle, travel expenses, meals and entertainment can also be deducted. Depending on the industry, in the financial services industry, I know there's limits and caps on some of these things. Professional fees, ongoing education. There's a ton of things that can be deducted or written off as a business owner. What are some of the keys to making sure you're staying on the up and up and not missing out on deductions or some of these tax benefits that business owners get?
I think one of the most important things is making sure that you have detailed and accurate records of all your expenses. The documentation is so important when it comes to using those expenses as a write-off. So it's really important to make sure that you keep track of all of your receipts and you're keeping track of all your expenses and what each expense is, coded towards. Is it an employee expense? Is it an owner expense? Is it a travel expense? Keeping track of all of that in a good accounting system is very important. But then the other part of it is also making sure that you pay attention to the tax laws. They change constantly. And so either working with a CPA or you yourself making sure that you stay up on the tax laws so that as regulations change, you can make sure that if there's any advantages that you should be taking advantage, anything that you should be taking advantage of, you take advantage of those as they change. So I think working with a qualified tax professional can make sure that your business is taking advantage of all the eligible deductions that you have, but also remaining compliant with the tax laws that are out there.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And I know as a financial advisor, we have a lot of clients that are also small, medium-sized business owners. It's a key as you're looking for a financial advisor, make sure you're working with an advisor that understands the business aspect and the business side of things as well. There are a ton of areas where you can make some improvements in your business, the deductions. There's opportunities to maximize retirement savings by being a business owner. There are a lot of things that come into play. And I know one of the things we preach a lot is tax planning, not tax preparation. So when you're meeting with your CPA or tax professional, make sure they're experienced with businesses as well so they can point out maybe some changes you can make, things to track and be aware of. As you mentioned, tax law changes so you can get the most out of your business and all the things that go into owning that business as well. Any other things, Dori, that business owners can look for or maybe take advantage of or should consider?
Yeah, I think, Jeff, one of the other things to talk about is, as a business owner, some of the benefits of hiring your children as an employee.
Yeah, that's a great one. There are tons of tax benefits, not only tax benefits and business benefits, but others as well. Tax benefits, employing your children, it's a great way, number one, to educate them, help them learn about your business. Maybe they'll end up working in it or taking it over someday. You can deduct the wages that you're paying your children, as well as get them started with their own personal retirement savings. So those are great. Potential for some educational funding as well. We all know how expensive higher education is getting, whether it's private high school, elementary schools, college funding. There are things you can do to help as a business owner take advantage of that as well. Teach them financial responsibility as well. Show them how the business works, the cost of having an employee, how to take advantage of that. The big one, get them started on their retirement savings early. Start early contributions to an IRA, or better yet, a Roth IRA at a very young age, and watch that grow and provide a great retirement or educational savings for them as well. I mentioned the business continuity. It's a great way to foster a sense of ownership, and again, just teach them what goes into owning a business. It's not as glamorous as everybody likes to make it out to be, right, Dori?
Right.
Everybody thinks business owners make all of this money, and sometimes they do, but there's also a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. So it's not all sunshine and roses, but it can be very advantageous. Anything else, Dori, you would add? Things you've encountered, things you've learned in the last couple of years just being at Paladin that maybe you didn't know or were more complicated or more beneficial than you had previously thought?
Yeah, I think that some of the accounting and things like that go behind running a business, making sure that you have all the detail is so important. If you ever get audited by the IRS, or depending upon what industry you are in, if there's any regulatory or compliance, having really detailed records is important, and making sure that you can easily maintain those and stay on top of them. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned here, is just keeping track of everything, keeping it nice and neat and organized so that I can always go back and look if a question comes up, or if we need to prove that we did something or show some type of documentation, having that detailed documentation there.
It seems to be a consistent theme: checks, balances, documentation. Are there any tools you would recommend for a new business owner to help them accomplish this, to be more detail oriented, to track expenses, make sure they're documenting everything properly?
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on the size of the business and what you're looking for, but having a good accounting software, there's a lot of different ones out there, but just making sure you've got a place to keep track of those expenses, and so that you can manage them. And also, it's not just tracking them, because anybody can enter something into a spreadsheet or an accounting software, but then reviewing them on a monthly or quarterly basis and seeing where the money is going, and see if there's any places that you can make changes, or maybe you're in the situation where you've got extra money in some spots, so how you can reallocate that to a different area of your business. So it's not just documenting it and keeping track of it, it's also going through and reviewing it and really digging in and seeing where things are going.
Sure. And how do you decide, and this is a little bit off the cuff and didn't prepare for this one necessarily, but how do you determine as a business owner when it makes sense for you to do something yourself versus outsourcing or adding another employee to take that task over? Are there any simple rules or things you look at to help determine whether or not it makes sense to hire or outsource a particular skill set?
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple things that go into what is it that needs to be done, and what type of skills does somebody need to accomplish that task. If it's something that's very highly, you need to have somebody that's very highly skilled in that task, then it might be something better to keep internally with yourself, because you've already been doing it for a lot of time and you understand how to do it, and there's a better chance it'll get done correctly. If it's something that you can easily teach to somebody, maybe look at hiring. And so then you look at what's the cost. How much is it going to cost me to hire the employee? And there's so much more that goes into it than somebody wants $50,000 a year. You have to look at what they want for their salary, what you're going to pay them for benefits, and there's people want to have time off from work, so you're going to be paying them for PTO and different things like that. So it's analyzing the whole situation and kind of looking at what's the bottom dollar, what's it going to cost me to hire this employee, and then the task that they're going to be doing, how much is that going to benefit me, how much is it going to take off of my plate, or am I going to be spending a lot of time having to train this person? Is it really worth taking my time away from whatever it is that I'm doing to train this person and then get them up to speed?
Sure. Yeah, I know that can be tricky in trying to determine what to do. Everybody spends so much time, and this is very cliche, but working in the business, right? As a business owner, you also need to find time to work on your business and look for ways that you can make improvements and improve efficiency so you can ultimately be more profitable and hire more employees and provide a living and a place for other people to go and pursue their dreams as well.
Yeah, and
So
I think that's a great point, Jeff. I think in some of the small businesses that I've worked in over the years, one of the things that I've seen be somewhat successful is when you bring somebody in that maybe knows the business or understands the business but isn't necessarily working in it, they can bring in an outside perspective and give that to you as a business owner. Well, did you think about doing this, or did you think about, trying this? As a business owner, you're so focused on making sure that your business is successful and that you're bringing in money and, things like that. So sometimes getting an outside view can help you, kind of straighten things out and get on a good path and moving forward, stuff that you might not think about as you're in the weeds every day of keeping the business moving forward.
yeah, great points. Great show today. Dori, if somebody has questions, business owners, individuals out there on retirement planning, setting up a business entity, how to maximize those, what's the best way to get in touch with you or one of the other advisors at Paladin?
Yep, so you can call us at 651-842-8406, or you can visit our website, paladinfinancial.com.
Awesome. That wraps up another great episode of Paladin Financial Talk. Thanks everybody for joining, and a special thanks to you, Dorinda. Great show today. Look forward to doing this again in the not too distant future.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.